What is going on, Diesel Nation? We're excited to have you guys with us today on the Diesel Podcast. We're really excited to be able to chat with Kyle from Hot Shot Secrets today. I love chatting with him and learning more about fuel additives and actually a bunch of other products that they offer for Cummins, Duramax, and Power Stroke trucks. So I wanted to chat with him about some things that are new, a big announcement that they have, and then also ways we can protect our vehicle here in winter and be able to make sure that we're getting good quality fuel to our injection pump, injectors. So it's going to be a great time to chat with him. Before we get to it, though, I want to remind you guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, aren't subscribed, make sure to hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications. If there's a question that I didn't ask the guest or a topic that you want covered or maybe a specific guest you'd like to hear about, make sure and comment on the video. Let us know. We're always checking YouTube. We appreciate the huge influx of YouTube subscribers that we've gotten and want to make sure that, if you guys are looking for a specific episode or something like that, that there's very easy ways to be able to reach out to us. Also want to give a shout out to some of our sponsors. One of the really, common things that happens a lot is people will find the Diesel Podcast and they'll message in and say, hey, I want to do this with my Duramax. I'm looking to, be able just to refresh it, make sure that it's running as best as it can, or I'm facing this issue. Where should I look to? And DMAX Store is a sponsor of the podcast. We've appreciated their support throughout the years. And what's really cool about them is they specialize just in Duramax trucks. So whether you got an LB7 or an L5P, anything in between, they've got a ton of different products, whether it's, engine related, transmission, accessories, heating, cooling. They've seen it all. So if you're facing a problem with your truck, looking to get a solution, maybe you've run into dead ends everywhere, or you're just looking to do some upgrades on it, make sure and go to dmaxstore.com, or you can give them a call at 877-4MY-DMAX. A great group of guys over there. They got an awesome website. If you're browsing their website, you don't see what you're looking for, or maybe you have a question, make sure and reach out to them. They love chatting with you about your truck, making sure that you get the products that you're looking for and make sure that you keep it on the road and running as best as you can. Also, Kershaw Knives is a sponsor of the podcast. We've appreciated their support, and they have a really cool discount code for you guys. If you use code Diesel20, you get 20% off site-wide on their site. So if you're looking for a knife for EDC or hunting or fishing or just something thrown in a toolbox, something around the house, or you're a knife enthusiast and you're really into different kind of opening mechanisms, blade steels, blade materials, handle materials, they've got you covered. So just look at Kershaw Knives on Instagram, Facebook. You can Google them, jump onto their website and just do code Diesel20 at checkout, 20% off site wide. So it's basically like Black Friday, but all year. And we appreciate them offering that to our listeners. It's something specific to you guys. So if you're in the market, definitely make sure and take advantage of it. All right, let's get to today's podcast with Kyle from Hot Shot Secrets and talking about ways to protect our diesel, a huge announcement that they have, and a lot of cool things we can do to make sure we keep our trucks running as good as they can. Kyle, welcome back to the Diesel Podcast. I always enjoy chats with you and Hot Shot Secrets and all the really good information. I was really pumped up about our Facebook Live we did not long ago. You guys had me nervous, coming on. I get to answer questions and stuff. So that was really cool. But I saw you guys have been really busy. So I know there's a lot that we can chat about, but welcome back to the podcast and look forward to this chat today.
Well, thanks, Patrick. And again, thanks for joining us. It's kind of fun to turn the tables on you. So thanks for being a guest on ours and had a good time with you. Learned a lot more about you and how this all came about. So, but we always enjoy joining here on the Diesel Podcast. So here we are again. Let's do it.
Yeah. I saw that you guys were at PRI, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to chat about that event because I see it a lot. I know what it is. I know a lot of people that work in the diesel aftermarket are familiar with it, but the enthusiasts out there, the truck owners might not know about it, but I think there's a lot of cool things that are showcased, a lot of really great, announcements and stuff. So I wanted to ask you about that and what it was like being there, just, kind of the whole atmosphere with PRI.
Well, I'll tell you, it's a great show. It's one of the, I know a lot of people say, SEMA is not for them. I still say everybody needs to go to SEMA once and just experience what a crazy zoo it is. The world's largest automotive aftermarket show. PRI, which is owned by SEMA, is a mini version of SEMA, but it's just focused on the racing industry. So it's a little more pigeonholed into that. And again, it's huge too. You're not going to get through it in one day. I encourage everybody to go to PRI at least once, check it out. Is it very racing oriented? Yeah. Can the average guy get a lot out of it? Absolutely. simply it's kind of like how we do things. When we formulate products, it's a lot of it's on the racetrack, and what we learn and test and product develop there on the racetrack boils down to our formulas that we use for our everyday drivers. So PRI is just kind of a big example of that, where all the major manufacturers in the industry are there showing their latest innovations, the new technology that's out. You see absolutely everything there, and of course, all the big names in our diesel industry are there, the diesel performance side of things, and these are the guys really pushing the envelope. And it's funny how many people I know in the industry keep things so hush hush, and you go to PRI, and all of a sudden they're releasing a new turbo, a new injector, and it's like, I didn't know you guys were working on that. So it's also a good place where people, a lot of the manufacturers like release new stuff, and also it's kind of like your show. I'll give your show a good plug for that, because the reason why I like your show so much, you get to talk to so many unique people that are um, specialists in their fields, if you will. And like we try to stay in our lane with lubricants and everything, but uh, the great thing about PRI is you can go there and actually talk directly to a manufacturer. If you're having a turbo issue, if you're having an injector issue, if you're having something later, if you have an idea or if you have an issue you're having, this isn't where you got to try to go through someone's chat feature or try to get a call in or get an email responded to. You can go talk to engineers right there at the show, the companies that these brands that you support and you use. So it's just an invaluable few days in Indianapolis that if you like this industry and you like the performance side, there's something for everybody at BRI.
What's really cool about it that really kind of touches at, I think, the start of my diesel enthusiasm and a lot of people's is you have the racing side, which, that excitement pulls us in at some point when we get interested in these trucks. Even though we may not build one per se, we're following, what's going on with this car, with this Cummins or this Duramax or this Power Stroke. And then you also get to say, okay, well, what did Hot Shot Secrets learn through working with this team with oil additives or with transmission fluid that I can now, kind of run in my truck, my daily drive or something that I haul with, because I'm really paying attention to see what, a lot of the great racers out there and the great teams out there are doing. And it's something that even, if I don't have a race truck, which I don't, but I sit back and I watch everyone and I'm interested. Like, I saw Maddie Graves did something, really awesome with their vehicle, and what Ryan Milliken's doing and Firepunk and so many other people. It's just so cool. It's like a sports team. I sit back and I watch and I get excited and I, tune in, want to see what times they ran. And then the next thing I want to know is what products are they running? How do they keep this thing alive? What's happening with it? And I know on the racing side, we've chatted about it before, how integral that has been to Hot Shot Secrets. And what you guys learn there and do is really awesome. But before the podcast, you had mentioned a really cool announcement, and I think we should chat about that. With racing, because you guys are dedicated to it, dedicated to the passion and the excitement that these people and these teams and these companies have for going fast, pushing the envelope, just making these things go faster than we ever thought.
Yeah, we do. We had a big week of PRI, and we did just release. Actually, I really got it done at PRI. So for those that haven't heard, one thing we're really excited about is the NHRDA is coming back, and Hot Shot Secret will be title sponsoring the NHRDA. So it's the return of the West Coast. We finally are giving an opportunity for the guys on the West Coast a place to race and pull. The NHRDA is pulling in drag racing and show and shine as well. So good opportunity for the West Coast to get back on the map. A reason for those guys out there to dust off those projects they had in the garage, and let's start getting them going again, and let's get those trucks out there for 2023 and start running the series with NHRDA. And Hot Shots is there to support it all the way. We were the title sponsor a few years ago before it disappeared, and so now that it's back, we jumped on the opportunity. And then, of course, at the same time this opportunity presented itself, opportunity came up with Outlaw Diesel Super Series ODSS, which is more of our East Coast series, and we are now officially the title sponsor of ODSS as well. So we're title sponsoring both the big East Coast and the West Coast diesel drag series, and we're really excited about it. The most important thing about it was we really have a passion for the industry here. It's done so well for us, which we're going to kind of talk about kind of how where all these products come from and how we've helped formulate and develop them and test them even further. So we care about the industry, and for a long time, for years, we really tried to unite the East and West Coast, but there's been some divides. There's the 8th mile drag racing versus the quarter mile. There's the just the names they call the classes and so forth. But we've always tried to culminate in some type of parity of rules and make it an even playing field so that some people can cross over, maybe run both series where geographically it lines up for them. But ideally, culminating into a real world finals between the best in the East and the best in the West. And I'm very fortunate to work with Randy Cole, who runs NHRDA, and Greg Jolly, who runs Outlaw Diesel. And it literally was, we were sitting in Outlaw Diesel's booth at PRI. It's nothing that happens at PRI. Deals get done at PRI too. So Randy Cole had just flown in from Washington, and the three of us sat down and kind of hashed through a lot of how things should be done and how we can align the two series. And I got a lot of commitment out of both of them, and I'm going to hold Hot Shots responsible and making sure that they play nice and that we, but not so nice. We want the competitive edge between them, but we want some parity among the rules and a place for both coasts to have a place to race and then come together for an ultimate showdown, which I think is just so cool for the industry. Right now, we're still planning on having all that World Finals in Texas at Texas Motorplex. This first year is going to be a little wonky because the schedules are already set. So unfortunately, the Outlaw Diesel Super Series will still be going on. We will not have their finals yet by the time NHRDA has their World Finals. So we're going to do it a little bit differently this first year, where anybody can come down to the World Finals in Texas of the NHRDA. You sign your tech card, whether you're Outlaw Diesel or NHRDA, are you East or West? And we're going to culminate all those points between all the drivers and award a world champion to the East or the West based on that performance. So that's what we just have to do this year, just based on how the schedules work. Now, hopefully by 2024, when we have a little more time to plan the schedules, we'll work it out so that the World Finals is actually the last event of the year. And ideally, I think the plan will be something like, the top points getters in each of the classes will get invites to the World Finals down in Texas to then battle it out for the individual world champions and then the overall world champions, East versus West kind of thing. And as Randy Cole from NHRDA said, it's gotten kind of dusty out there on the West Coast. So he thinks the East has them, maybe now, maybe the next year, but he's promising by 2025, the West will be back and dominating. So it's going to be fun to watch these two series continue to grow. Diesel Motorsports is on fire right now. Like, there's so many big things happening, and you just named a couple. Maddie Graves. I mean, wow, just crushed into the 3 seconds, and yes, she is powered by science. She's running Hot Shot Secret Racing Oil, so happy to have Maddie aboard, and Ryan Milliken running Hot Shot Secret Fluids as well, and he just went out there in X275 and set an all-new speed record. No handicap, no nothing, lining up against those diesels. I remember a few years ago when he had the green Nova, he went like one round and like broke the internet, and it's like, oh, look how cute these diesel guys are. They actually pulled something off, and now he broke the record. Like, nobody has ever gone that fast in X275, and he did it in a diesel, so got to have all these gas guys scratching their heads. So lots of big things happening in the industry. We're really proud to be part of a lot of them, but I just can't tell you how excited I am about NHRDA and ODSS and what's to come this year and the coming years, and how it's just going to help the sport grow even more and more, give more people a chance to get out there and try this stuff. And I know you and I talk a lot about how much we admire these guys at this top level of the sport and everything. But at the same time, we live in the world of the everyday guy too, the everyday driver. That's who buys all of our products. The racers don't make us rich around here. I'll tell you that. We sell the bulk of our products to the everyday guy working on his vehicle and stuff. So I think there's a crossover there too. There's those guys that admire all that stuff and see what the Millikens of the world and the Fire Punks and what all these guys are doing. There's also a place for them in these series too. So there's ET classes that are literally, we pull people out of the stands that have a diesel truck in the parking lot and get them to race for the first time, and they get hooked like that. So
Yeah.
then you start to learn more about your truck. You start caring more about your truck. You want to take care of your truck a little more. It's not always about, compound turbo builds with, crazy 400 injectors and all this stuff. There's stuff you can do to a stock truck and have fun with it on the track and drive it to work every day too. So it all comes together and culminates together. And I just think there's a lot of exciting things going on in the sport right now. And coming off of this week with our announcements of the title sponsorships, I just think it's really going to be exciting to see East and West Coast unite and where we can take this. And we're proud to put our name on top of it. And I'm going to take the responsibility of trying to make it all work, and we'll see where it goes.
That's one of the things that I think about when it comes to Hot Shot Secrets is I think about this space that the company occupies between racing and the everyday truck. And I think that's a really special place because if you look at racing, that's where nearly everything has come from turbos, injectors, tuning, built transmissions, suspension, cooling, tons of different things. They started there at the track, but as an enthusiast, if I'm sitting there and, say I'm a huge Cummins fan and I see Brian Milliken's pulling up with a trailer and he's towing it, he's got a 6.7 Cummins. I think, oh, I got the same thing. I wonder what he's running for oil, for differential fluid in his transmission. Or I see a Duramax that does it, and I think, okay, well, if these, if they're trusted, getting to this event, performing all their time and effort to this truck, just like I depend on it to get to work, what are they running? And then the other part of it that I really think about is how much probably awesome test data you guys can get with your oils, transmission fluid, whatever it might be, putting it in these 3,000 plus horsepower diesel powered vehicles that are going fast and doing this stuff. So it's probably really exciting on a bunch of different levels to, one, work at Hot Shot Secret, and then two, to come up with these products to be able to offer us.
Well, yeah. And I'll tell you what, we're really fortunate too. It's the fact that these guys trust us, with these really expensive investments. And we don't take that lightly. It's an honor to be able to work with these guys and allow us to advance our products. But at the end, it really is development for our end user. What they do out there, the type of data we can get in a 3,000 horsepower race truck that is just absolutely beating the snot out of our gear oil or for example, when we have something that can hold up to that type of punishment and perform and exceed, expectation, we feel completely confident offering that to the everyday user. And we aren't your average lubricant company. We really don't make any commodity style products. Everything that we make is either, problem solving, we've talked about all the problem solving products we have, or a high performance product. So, we're never going to make a brake fluid or, something like that, where it's just a kind of commodity. There's enough lubricant companies out there that got that on lock, and we can't make it any better. We just stay away and let them have it. So that being said, we're not for everybody. And I understand that. And price point wise, we're not the cheapest either, but we have extreme confidence in what we make. And that's because of the thrashing and abuse that we get the opportunity to have with these guys on the track and the polling circuit, for that matter, as well. And it's just a great extension of R&D and product testing and formulation, and then it gives us just, we pass that on to the consumer, that they can feel confident that If they've got a 300 horsepower application, the fluids they're running in there were tested at a 3,000 horsepower application. So we're not just making sure it just meets those specifications, and that's what we see with a lot of other lubricant brands, which is okay. That's a spot to be in. There's a big market out there. There's room for everybody, and a lot of them are formulating products right to OEM specs, and they might be meeting a Ford, a Dex or a Mercon spec with a trans fluid or something. And they just go right to the spec and meet it and check all the boxes and offer a very affordable product. We want to far exceed it. We want to go far past that. So we meet those specs and just keep going until we can't get any more performance out of the product. And then that's the product that we put out under the Hot Shot Secret label. So is it for everybody? No. But for those that really want to protect their investment, they can rest assured that our products have been tested to the limit. And it wasn't always that way. We've always been a nerdy, science-based company, specifically because of how we started with Stiction Eliminator, formulating a problem-specific product and bringing it to market to help people out. The actual racing side of it, I'm sure I probably told you the story before. I know told the story a million times, but it really came from Firepunk. And it was before we even had all these racing oils. It was really with our FR3, which is our nanocarbon that we have patented. It's just our way of, it's a new technology. A lot of people don't think there's new technology in lubricants. Well, here's one right here. And the rest of the industry uses moly or molybdenum mainly as their anti-wear. We use a nanocarbon. And we had nothing to do with motorsports about 6 years ago, and we just wanted some dyno testing on our FR3 product here. And even though Firepunk's an hour from us, we didn't even know them. And somebody recommended, you got a really good performance shop that has a dyno, and they give you testing. So we went down there with that. I actually brought remember last time we were talking about white papers? I brought some white papers this time. This is our white paper from the Cummins testing on 2016 3500 6.7 Cummins and a 2007 2500 6.7 Cummins at Firepunk Diesel in Plain City, Ohio. And basically what we did there was let them use their trucks, use this couple of Firepunk's trucks that we put on the dyno, ran a series of polls, got the standard baseline for them. We did it on 2 tunes as well to eliminate tune issues. So just on a stock tune and then a performance tune. And then we just simply added the FR3 oil additive to the oil they were using. So it wasn't even our oil. It was just our oil additive, just our FR3 technology. I think I was guessing at the numbers last time I was here. But now I got the real one. And on the 331 horsepower baseline, adding FR3 to that, we averaged 346 horsepower. So it was a 15 horsepower increase. And that's a 4.3%. And then on the performance tune, we moved it from 460.9 average to a 478.4 average of horsepower, 17.5 horsepower increase. So another 4.3% increase just by adding an additive into the oil. And this pretty much blew Firepunk's mind. We didn't know him at the time, but we laughed about it now. Loewen laughed that we were just some snake oil company coming down that wanted to test some stuff out. And I said, sure, throw it on there. We'll see what it can do. As long as you're paying for the dyno time, we're good. And, but by the end of the day, it was like, what is in that stuff? Like we've really mastered what we do here, and we've kind of maxed out all the hard part stuff. We never thought we could get anything more out of oil. They're using a good oil, but to see the gain in just an additive, they were the ones that said, you guys need to get in motorsports. And we did. And we created a relationship with Firepunk, who to this day is our best test lab down the road, and great partnership, great friends, great guys to take our products out there and beat them up. And that started the motorsports relationship. And then from there, it just kind of coupled and just kept building, and turned the motorsports side into, instead of just Firepunk being the small little lab for us, the whole industry became a lab for us. And we're not a huge company that has our name atop of stadiums and stuff. I don't have this huge budget to like go out there and sponsor everybody and sponsor these series like I just told you we are. And uh, but what we can do is really bring expertise to these top teams that just had never really had much lubricant advice before. And um, we bring our lab with us. We bring access to our R&D. So we do oil analysis for these guys. We spot problems in their engine before they happen. You know, we've saved countless engines that were having an issue that you wouldn't have seen without an analysis. So we kind of bring everything to the table that we can bring, short of bags of money. You know, so we replace that with really expertise. And these guys have come around to, and gals, have come around to appreciate that side of it. It's just created these great working relationships. And I'll add to that too, not only just the drivers and the teams we work with, but the family around these teams. You know, we develop relationships with, you know, the injector, the fuel guys with S&S and Exergy, you know, the engine builders with D&J and Fleece and Wagler. You know, like you start to see these guys all going to these top performing hard parts that you talk about in some of your other episodes. And we found that when manufacturers talk, man, we can help each other out, you know? So it's like just kind of being in the same room when we're working with one of our teams. And then you hear maybe a stainless diesel turbo or something. And then he's talking about some oil thing he's got going on. My ears kind of perk up. And it's like, well, how can we help stainless diesel out with that? And once you get these manufacturers talking, and there's something also unique about the diesel motorsports industry that since we're already like the red-haired stepchild of drag racing anyways, and everyone always poo-poos us and laughs at us, it kind of gives us this burn and chip on our shoulder to show them what we can do. It's really cool how open the manufacturers are to working with each other to collectively move the industry forward. And that all together, everything I just said, results in great products on your auto parts store shelf for that everyday guy. And it is a byproduct of all of these teams and manufacturers working together to get into the 3-second world. Well, there's so much good benefit that comes out of the advancements in all those technologies across all the manufacturers that benefits the everyday guy. And even the OEMs, as the new trucks come out, they learn more from what we're doing by beating up their old stuff, you know? So it's just great for the industry all together, all the way down to the guy who's just looking to keep his truck on the road for 500,000 miles.
Yeah. That's really the big thing that the other day I saw a video, and it was like of old Ford truck commercials. And I think it was from like the early 70s or something. So they have this old Ford truck, and they set up this kind of obstacle course, and it was all bumpy with like road ties, and they have somebody drive over it at 20, 30 miles an hour, and they were showcasing the suspension at that time. I've seen old Chevy commercials like that as well, you know, where they're pulling this huge, massive amount of logs. And, you know, we think as truck owners, okay, I'm never going to pull that much power. I'm never going to do 30 miles an hour over all these railroad ties. But you think, if it can do that, it can handle what I'm doing with my truck. And when I was thinking about chatting with you today, that's what I thought of, because I might not ever have a 3,000 horsepower. I couldn't even control that. I wouldn't even pretend that I could even drive that thing.
I'd be in a ditch or in jail, one or the other. So.
Yeah, but I think, okay, if it can handle that on this vehicle, it's going to hold up fine to my Power Stroke or my Duramax, you know, or my Cummins. And one of the really interesting things is, you know, I'm always asking listeners for feedback or questions that they have, or you know, when they're on our Discord or they're messaging us. And the thing that I found is they'll start with a product. I would say usually what I find is the fuel additives. You guys talk about it a lot. You talk about the importance of it. We've talked about it on the podcast, but then they say, okay, I have a bunch of other maintenance I need to do. What other products does Hot Shot Secrets have that I can run? What about my engine oil? What about my transmission fluid, my gear oil? What about, you know, if I've got a G56? And because I had such a positive experience with adding lubricity and, you know, the winter treatments or other type things like that, they say, okay, well, I want to run more. I want to do more. I'm really happy with how the product performs. And I thought today would be a great kind of chance to, I think, cover a lot of different things that you guys offer, because I find people are purchasing, if they're really into diesel and they don't want to spend $100,000, they're looking towards an older, maybe simpler truck. And one of the challenges with that is what was maintenance done on it? What kind of fluids did they use? How was it taken care of? And I think the best advice that I've ever gotten on the podcast was just start fresh and act like they never did anything to it. And so I wanted to ask you, kind of as a hypothetical, is, say I just purchased this used diesel truck and I'm just going to start fresh. How can you walk me through the different products that you guys have that I could run? Should I start with an engine oil analysis, and then from there, see if anything's going on? Should I just jump right into an oil change? Should I do 2 or 3 different things, at once, to just kind of, get the truck set up with fuel and the engine oil, and like, how does all that work?
Great question. And we get it all the time, especially a lot of times first time diesel owners. So, regardless of having a new or old one, sometimes it's the first time they don't know the first thing about diesels. But if you get an older truck or something with higher miles on it, or your first time diesel owner, I usually do start with the fuel side, like you said. It's the quickest to understand. It's also the thing you feel first too, like literally seat of the pants feel. And again, I'm in the lubricant industry. I'm in what's perceived as the snake oil world. So the quicker I can get somebody to understand that we're actually formulating some really good stuff here that's really designed to help you out and protect your vehicle and extend the life of your vehicle, the better, So the we always talk about our 2-step treatment with our Diesel Extreme and EDT. 2 of our biggest sellers. I don't care if your truck's new, old, you name it, or anything in between. Every diesel needs some fuel out of it, and that's partially because of the vehicle, but it's also because of the fuel we get. You and I have had a lot of talks about. I've shown you some fuel testing of all over the country of how poor the fuel can be and how quickly it goes bad. There's 100 reasons why diesels have to be really conscious of the fuel we get. It's not the same in the gas world. The gas world gasoline's, a pretty highly refined fuel. So you see a lot less issues with that side. So another angle that you got to remember too is exactly if you're getting an older truck, how old of a truck? And the lubricity standards on the fuel have continued to drop, from when we used to have a lot of sulfur, to low sulfur diesel to ultra low sulfur diesel. Like we have slowly brought all of the lubricity out of the diesel fuel and causes it, a lot of problems with the fuel system. So if you have an older truck, that truck was actually designed for a very high lubricity fuel before it turned to what it is. So it doesn't know any better that it's still alive and how poor the fuel's gotten nowadays. So you want to make sure at a bare minimum, you're going to be adding the proper lubricity to it. Now, while doing that, why not add all this extra yummy stuff that's so good for the system that we put into the products? So Diesel Extreme EDT, without going too deep into it, because I know we've kind of touched on it before, we fully formulate these. So we try to put everything all into one product to treat the poor fuel that's going in the truck and also protect the system. So there's a cetane booster, an injector fuel system cleaner, a lubricity agent, a water dispersant, a rust and corrosion inhibitor, and a fuel stabilizer. The difference between the two is that we really crank up the levels of fuel system cleaner on the Diesel Extreme, as it's designed to be used periodically as a really deep clean and flush. A 1-tank treatment to really flush everything out of there and get it nice and clean. And then you can switch over to the EDT, which is a lot more, you get a lot more out of the bottle. So it goes a lot further. We dial down the injector cleaner to a keep clean level, but you still keep the cetane up, the lubricity up that you need in every single tank. And that's why these are quart bottles I got. A quart bottle of Diesel Extreme treats 80 gallons. Quart bottle of EDT, this 1 quart bottle right here, treats 800 gallons of fuel. So very, very potent. Diesel Extreme is too, but on the cleaning side. So The first thing I do with the diesel is clean it out, clean out that fuel system. And we recommend running Diesel Extreme once every 6 or 10,000 miles. If I just buy the vehicle, I might run back to back tanks with it to make sure we're really cleaning things out. And then I just stay up on it. I make sure every single tank I'm putting EDT in, keep the lubricity up, keep the injectors nice and clean. You'll start to eliminate issues if you're buying a used vehicle and it's kind of rough running. Before you have to really diagnose stuff, you can eliminate a lot of stuff that if it's a fuel system problem by just cleaning it out. And then of course, we have our new EDT plus winter defense. So it's kind of the same thing as our EDT, but if you're in the cold climate this time of year, you want that seventh part of it with the anti-gel in there too to keep you from gelling up. So that's the first thing I do. The first things first, let's get the fuel side taken care of and nice and clean out. It's easy to do. You feel it, it's affordable. You feel it right away. It gives you confidence that you're making progress with this older truck you may have just bought. And it's just easy. It's pouring it and go. Just get your miles on and hammer down. Oil side's a little more tricky, simply because you're not always feeling everything right away on the oil side. Those type of things take a little bit longer, but we have an easy solution for that too. And really, it's just like on the fuel side, we really try to put it together like a two-step system with our stiction eliminator and our FR3. A lot of people know stiction eliminator from the Huey injectors and the 6 liters. I still hear it now every day. I've got a Cummins. I don't need stiction eliminator. Well, yeah, you do. If you have an engine, you need stiction eliminator. This is by far, hands down, the best engine cleaner product on the market. It is not a cheap product. It's very expensive to make. It's almost over-engineered to the point of what's very unique that we do is the ability on the oil side to clean and lubricate at the same time. That sounds crazy, but nobody can do that, but it's not easy. It's just kind of like when I have my great analogies. I know you love so much, Patrick, but it's kind of like when you're doing back in the day when you had Dawn dish soap and you're like doing dishes and then your hands get all dry from it. Well, it's because it's doing a darn good job of degreasing and cleaning and getting everything out of there. Well, nowadays they figured out how to put like the Dove into the Dawn. So now like you can actually clean and still come out with soft hands. That's what we're doing with stiction eliminator. It's the ability to get in there and clean the engine out at a very high level, a very deep cleaning. Matter of fact, on the scrub test, it beats any oil additive on the market on its ability to clean. And at the same time, it beats any additive on the market on its ability to lubricate. As opposed to some of the harsh cleaners out there. I know a lot of people, if they buy an older truck, one of the first things they say is, yeah, maybe I will do an oil cleaning and try to erase history, because we don't know what the previous owner did. And you got to assume he did nothing, like you said. That's the best thing to do. Assume they did nothing and didn't care about it. Well, when you're making that decision point, I highly advise you do a little research on exactly how best to clean that oil side, because there's ways you can go the opposite way and do more damage than good. There's a lot of products that are clean out products, without naming names, that do a good job of cleaning from that standpoint. They use harsh abrasive chemicals. You'll know these products because they tell you right away, pour them in, run it, smoke it all out, and then get that out of there. Dump that oil and put fresh oil in before you start driving again. Well, that right there kind of tells you something. Like, it's pretty harsh if you're not supposed to run the vehicle with it, but you got to get it in there to clean it. Stiction eliminator is the opposite. You put this in with fresh oil at the front end of the oil change. This is strictly made of group 4 polyalpha-olefins and group 5 esters, real high-end oil additives. So the only thing this can do is improve the oil that you're putting in. Even if you're using a cheap oil, it'll improve that oil while it cleans and lubricates. So the name it got for itself in the Huey world, in the 6 liter and 7.3 world, and the cats that have the Hueys, is great because it was designed for that. But I remind people that's a oil-fed fuel injector, and that's the fuel injector was coming up on the oil side. They were trying to clean it up from the fuel side with like Diesel Extreme, that type of stuff. Wasn't touching it. It was the oil side that was coming up. So, and it's a super tiny, tight tolerances inside those Huey injectors. So this makes it into your engine oil all the way up through those tiny tolerances and cleans out the little load pin on a Huey injector. Well, if it can do that, imagine what it's doing to the rest of the engine that it can easily get to. So that's why I always tell everybody, I don't really care which make model you have. I don't really care if it's gas or diesel. I don't care if it's a lawnmower or a weed whacker. If it's an engine that has oil, this is the best cleaner that you can get. And I promise you, Stiction Eliminator will blow your mind on a high mileage vehicle, specifically one that has not been maintained very well. A funny example to prove that is we do a lot of business on our dealer side, our dealer accounts, with used car lots, and people think it's kind of weird. Like, why are we selling so much to used car lots? And they actually use it more on the service side. I've got tons of used car lots that will bring in auction cars or whatever, wherever they get their vehicles. And the first thing they do is pour Stiction Eliminator in the engine. It's a simple cost to them that they load in. It's kind of like when you have a used car lot that might like pay for a detail on a car because they know, oh, the car will look better, it'll be easier to sell, be more attractive to people, someone will want to test drive it and see it's a good car. Well, but also used car lots don't want to put a lot of money into the vehicles because they're trying to sell them. They see it huge value for them. So as they clean out these engines, the more miles you get on it, every test drive, every time they go out there and put some miles on it, it runs better and better and better and better because it's cleaning itself out. So there is nothing I could recommend more than Stiction Eliminator for a used vehicle or a vehicle that you have an unknown service history with. What ties into that, the two-step, just like Diesel Extreme with the deep clean, switching over to EDT for every day. After you've done a nice clean out with Stiction Eliminator, you can switch over to our FR3. FR3 is similar in that it's got cleaning properties, just not as high. We dial them down a little bit, but you have all the nanocarbons and lubricity to protect the engine and move it forward. The FR3 reduces wear by 42% over when added to Rotella is a test we've done, a common oil that a lot of people use. And then, of course, if anybody's using our oil, which we manufacture engine oil as well, every one of the oils we make, even up to the racing oils, have FR3 infused into them already. So it's already in there ready to go. So fuel side, deep clean, oil side, deep clean. One last angle I'd give you on that new kind of maintenance would be shift restore. People may know that product that have known us for a while as transmission Stiction Eliminator because it does something similar as we do with on the engine side. We had a name change about a year or two ago because the retailers wanted a more descriptive name, so it's called Shift Restore now. Unique product. It's actually just one ingredient. This is a pure Group 5 ester. And again, it's added to transmission fluid. It's one of the biggest things when you buy a used vehicle and you wonder about the history of it. As a lot of people know, if the transmission fluid's been there too long, do you just leave it in there? Do you cause more damage by taking it out? First thing I do is add some Shift Restore to it. This Group 5 ester brings up the additive package of the transmission fluid. It's polarized just like FR3 is, so it's going to get attracted to all the small tolerances in the valve body where stiction, coking of oil, the burnt oil starts to build up and can result in slip shifts, rough shifts, just a little bit of carbon buildup in that valve body can really kind of make these engines kind of, make you feel like there's more wrong than there really is.
Yeah.
Adding a little of this product to it will get it all cleaned out. I like to add it right before I do if I buy a used truck like that, I put it in there right there with the junk trans fluid that's in it, just like I'll pour some Stiction Eliminator in the junk fluid, Diesel Extreme in the tank. And I go out there and I drive it like I stole it. I'll beat the heck out of it. I want everything to really get up to heat, work everything out. The more miles I can get, the better. And then I dump it all. And of course, I put fresh Hot Shots fluids and everything. But that cleaning process is absolutely key using the advice, like you said, of assume that the previous owner didn't care for it. We can't reverse time on wear. I always tell people that, like, what's worn is worn, but what we can do is freeze time. We can slow the wear rate down to minimal, so that if you find a used vehicle that runs good today, even high miles, and it might even be running a little rough because it's got some carbon to clean out or something, some stuff we can take care of. But if you got a good running truck that's got high miles on it, don't be scared to buy it. There's companies like us out there, there's products out there that are designed to keep that old high mileage truck that wasn't taken care of on the road forever. And we can't reverse time and reverse some of the damage that's been done, but we can certainly almost stop time to prevent any future wear. Now, if you get lucky and you find a gem out there that was meticulously cared for, well, all the better. Now we can continue that and really freeze any of this high mileage wear from happening, and just keep these trucks on the road for a very, very long time.
I think that's a lot of really great advice for someone out there that wants to either protect their investment. Maybe they did just buy a new truck, or they have a newer one, or they're stepping back, and we always want to do something proactive. We want to make sure they last. That's why we bought a diesel truck, because of the torque, and we need it for a specific use, or they're just built really robust. And so I like the ways that I can either ease into it, or I can do it kind of all at once, and protect the fuel system, which they're very expensive to repair. The engines are very expensive to repair. We know the transmissions can be very expensive to repair. So that's what I really like about it. And it was really cool to hear what you guys are doing in racing, because I know that's such a cornerstone of where the company just kind of merges these two things, and you're able to have this awesome test data from these extreme power vehicles, and then apply it towards maybe my nearly bone stock Cummins Duramax or Power Stroke, and be able to make it last. So as I mentioned in the beginning, I always look forward to our chats, because I learned something, or I think about something a little different with maintaining my vehicle, or doing what I need to do. So I'm excited for what you guys have next year with racing and being involved with it, and all the really great teams that run your guys' product. And then I tell people all the time, if somebody's like, hey, what should I do to my diesel? I'm like, treat the fuel, because I've done these podcasts about how bad fuel is out there. It's easy, it's not that expensive, and then just protect your investment. You'll be happy with it. So, as always, Kyle, it was a pleasure to chat with you today.
Yeah, great chatting with you too. Always is, Patrick. And like I always say, we're very open to helping people out too. We love it. So if you are one of those people that we were talking about, first time owner, or had questions about how best to clean it out, that type of stuff, we're a phone call away. And you can reach our chat feature online, or just give us a call. We pick up the phone here, and we talk with people. And not even one funny thing I'll tell you before we go, it's even the guys out there that are very deep into helping us out with this often run into these problems too, because they don't really know. My example is Ryan Milliken. He was nice enough to sign autographs at our booth in PRI. Well, he had drove his big toter up from Florida, and he had last filled up in Alabama, and it was getting darn cold in Indiana and starting to snow. I said, you did put some anti-gel in, didn't you? And you say anti-gel to somebody from Florida, and they just look at you like you're crazy. But that is the perfect example. You bring Southern fuel up here, even a guy as smart as Ryan Milliken that knows better, you run into these things. So it's funny to see all sides of it, and how somebody like that can help us out so much with the everyday guy. But the everyday guy probably knew better than Ryan Milliken did to put anti-gel in his truck. So luckily he didn't freeze up, but we all learned. So we're happy to educate. That's what we do here. We enjoy it. So feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions, and we love to hear from your listeners as well. And thanks again, Patrick. I really appreciate every time we get together, and look forward to next time.
Don't forget, diesel fans, if you got a Duramax, whether it's an LB7, L5P, anything in between, and you're looking to make sure that you keep it running in the best shape that it can be, or maybe you just picked one up and you're not sure where to start with upgrades or things you should do for maintenance, Our friends over at DMAX Store got a complete lineup of products for every Duramax engine code, every year range, and that's their specialty. They just specialize in Duramax trucks. So if you want to chat with them about your build, maybe you've run into kind of a dead end with an issue, haven't been able to fix something, they're really experienced, and this is their bread and butter. It's their passion. That's what they do. And whether it's engine related, suspension, fuel systems, transmissions, anything in between, they've got you covered. Head on over to dmaxstore.com, or you can give them a call at 877-4MY-DMAX, and they'll get you taken care of. They love chatting about trucks. So if it's just something you just got, don't know a lot about it, looking to do some things to make sure you protect your fuel system or turbo, anything like that, make sure and check out their website and message them or give them a call. Follow them on Instagram, Facebook. Great group of guys over there. We appreciate the support. Also, Kershaw Knives has a discount code for you. Just use code DIESEL20 for 20% off site-wide. There are a ton of different options for really any budget. We've got a bunch of new products that are getting ready to release here in January. So I know there's a lot of you out there that have sent me pictures of some of the cool stuff you've gotten with the discount code. And that's what's so cool about their product lineup is, whether you're a knife enthusiast and you're looking for a very specific blade material or an opening mechanism or something to add to your collection, or you just need something to put in a toolbox or in your glove box or something at the job site, they got something for any budget. So definitely make sure you take advantage of the discount code that they have and save some money on some really cool gear. Also want to give a shout out to some of our Patreon supporters, Tyler Loewen of 23 Diesel, John, Caleb, all of you on Patreon, Discord, those of you who follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, podcast apps. We appreciate all your support throughout the years, and this is why we do the podcast, is to be able to deliver content to you guys that you want to hear. Till next time, keep the shiny side up.